The parable of the widow and the unjust judge. Gospel of Luke, chapter 18, verses 1 through 8. He also told them a parable that they should always pray and not be discouraged, saying, There was a judge in a certain city who feared not God, nor was he ashamed of men. In the same city there was a widow, and she, coming to him, said, Avenge me of my rival. But he was unwilling for a long time. And afterward he said to himself, Though I am not afraid of God, and I am not ashamed of people, yet as this widow does not give me rest, I will protect her, that she may not come to bother me any more. And the Lord said, Hear what the unrighteous judge says? Will God not protect his elect who cry out to him day and night, though he is slow to protect them? I tell you that he will give them protection soon. But will the Son of Man, when he comes, find faith on earth? Explanation of the parable. The parable of the widow and the unrighteous judge reveals several key themes: perseverance in prayer, faith in God's justice, and the power of righteous perseverance. A widow in biblical times was considered a vulnerable member of society. She had no husband to defend her rights and was often unsupported. Widows depended on the favor of society and governmental structures, but often faced injustice. The judge in the parable is described as a man who neither fears God nor is ashamed of men. This indicates his cynical, corrupt attitude toward his office. He has no compassion for the widow, but still gives in because of her persistence. The widow's persistence becomes the central theme of the parable. She doesn't just complain about her situation, she acts. She comes again and again, demanding justice. The point of the parable is that if even a wicked judge yields to persistence, much less will God, who is a righteous judge, leave his children unprotected. But Christ's last phrase begs the question: when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth? It is a question of whether people will remain faithful in their prayer in spite of trials. The parable teaches that God hears prayers, but requires perseverance, constancy, and firm faith from believers, not passive waiting. Life application. Personal prayer and faith. Often people are faced with situations where prayers seem unheard. Some ask for health, some for financial stability, some for peace in the family. The widow's example teaches us that we should not give up. It is important to keep believing that God will answer at the right time. Fighting for justice. Many people face injustice at work, in court, or in government. This parable teaches that you must persevere in standing up for your rights, even when the system seems deaf to your demands. Raising children. Raising children, parents often face difficulties. The child does not obey, is lazy, makes mistakes. But the instructions, repeated many times with love and patience, bear fruit. Parents, like the widow in the parable, must be persistent, but not give up. Personal self-work. Any goal requires discipline and perseverance. A person who wants to succeed should be like the widow in the parable. If it didn't work out the first time, try again. Belief in the dream. Many great achievements have been made possible only through perseverance. Talented people, facing rejection, kept going forward. So it is in the spiritual life. Only those who do not give up get the answer. Modern examples. The court system and the defense of rights. Often people face unrighteous judges in real life. For example, a journalist unjustly accused of defamation fights for his name. He appeals, demands a review of the case, and eventually gets justice. Public protests. History knows many cases when people demanded justice despite the resistance of the authorities. For example, Martin Luther King's struggle for civil rights in the United States is the perseverance of a widow brought to the scale of an entire nation. Stories of entrepreneurs. Many successful businessmen started out as failures. Henry Ford went bankrupt 5 times before creating his automobile empire. But he didn't give up, and his perseverance paid off. Patience and recovery. Doctors often say, if a patient doesn't give up, they have a better chance of recovery. Those who persevere, even when medicine is powerless, often overcome illnesses, surprising doctors. Education and career. The person who did not give up after failing an exam, but continued to study and entered university, is the same image of the widow from the parable. Perseverance leads to victory. Psychological parsing. The psychology of perseverance. The parable teaches us that success depends on the ability to not give up. Psychologists call this resilience, the ability to adapt and keep going despite obstacles. The effect of prayer on the psyche. Regular prayer helps reduce anxiety, build confidence, and create a sense of control over life. People who practice persistent prayer find it easier to cope with difficulties. The principle of small steps. Perseverance is formed through the habit of overcoming small obstacles. The widow in the parable did not try to break the judge at once. She simply came to him every day. This method is also effective in life. Small efforts every day lead to big results. Shifting attention from negativity to action. When faced with problems, a person can either complain or act. The widow chose the latter, and that's the key to success. Developing intrinsic motivation. A person who believes he or she is right is able to withstand great adversity. Faith is not just a religious concept, but also a psychological factor that gives strength not to give up. Conclusion. The parable of the widow and the unjust judge is a lesson in faith, perseverance, and persistence. It shows that even in this world of injustice, true perseverance brings results. This story applies to everyone. If you're praying and don't see an answer yet, don't stop. If you're fighting for your rights, don't give up. If you are studying or working, be persistent. God always hears those who do not lose heart. But will he find faith on earth? This is the main question, the answer to which depends on each of us. Dear listeners, thank you for your time together. Subscribe to the channel, put likes, and write how you liked this parable. Click on the bell not to miss new videos, and see you soon.